Who do you think is the other? We use this term every day without thinking too much about it. The other is the foreigner. It's a Muslim, it's a Hindu, it's a Jew, it's a Christian, it's an immigrant, it's a liberal, it's a conservative. The truth is, the other is anyone who is not us. They're all others. But you know something? The other doesn't actually exist. It is the most dangerous illusion humanity has ever created. Because the moment another human being becomes the other, they stop being a person. They become a label. And once someone becomes a label, compassion begins to disappear. I would even go one step further and frame this episode around a single powerful proposition: othering. It is the idea of the other, and it has caused more suffering than almost anything else we have ever created. The greatest darkness isn't hatred, it's forgetting that we are human. And we keep forgetting we are human as we go along. And the opposite of love is not hate, it is dehumanization. Look around the world today. People are increasingly being judged not by who they are, but by the labels they carry, their nationality, their religion, their race, their political affiliation, their color. We no longer meet human beings, we meet categories. And once someone becomes a category, something dangerous begins to happen. It becomes easier to dismiss them, easier to mock them, easier to hate them, eventually easier to destroy them. And the social media gives us the means to do so easily and with impunity. Remember, every war begins long before the first bullet is fired. Every genocide begins long before the first body falls. Every act of violence begins with an act of imagination. Someone first imagines that another human being is somehow less than human. And history has shown us this pattern again and again, and we keep repeating it. People are first called parasites or termites or vermin or infidels or traitors or enemies of the nation. Then, almost without noticing, ordinary people begin to accept extraordinary cruelty. Homes are destroyed, families are displaced, children become statistics, lives become collateral damage. The real tragedy is that this process is often encouraged by those who benefit from division. And we feel how it's going and we fall prey to it. Because politics thrives on creating us and them. Sections of the media amplify outrage because outrage attracts attention. And social media, like I said, rewards certainty over understanding. Every day we are quietly encouraged to choose a side instead of choosing wisdom. And something even more disturbing happens. Those who dehumanize others slowly become dehumanized themselves. Hatred is not merely directed outward. It eats you. It reshapes the person who carries it. It's like a cancer, it spreads. And every act of cruelty diminishes not only the victim, but also the one who commits it. Now, this is where the ancient Gnostics offer an insight that feels astonishingly relevant today. They did not divide humanity into believers and unbelievers. They did not divide people into the saved and the damned. Instead, they saw two states of consciousness. There are those who are asleep, imprisoned by fear, ignorance, and illusion. And there are those who have awakened to gnosis, to direct knowing. And for the gnosis, darkness was never simply moral failure. Darkness was forgetfulness. It was forgetting who we truly are. They believe that every human being carries with them the divine spark. Not just the people we agree with, not just the ones who are on our side, not just the ones who share our politics or our nationality. Everyone, even those whose actions we oppose. The divine spark may be buried beneath fear, anger, greed, or ignorance, but it is never extinguished. This changes everything. If every human being carries the light, then every act of dehumanization becomes an assault on that light. And every act of compassion becomes an act of remembrance. Now, this does not mean we excuse injustice. It does not mean we stop opposing violence or tyranny. Gnosis is not passivity, it is clarity. We can resist evil without becoming consumed by hatred. We can fight injustice without forgetting the humanity of those standing on the other side. This may be the most hardest spiritual discipline of all. Because the temptation is always to believe that only our side possesses truth. The moment we believe that, we begin walking the same path as those we condemn. The Gnostic teacher does not ask, "Who is my enemy?" He asks, "What has blinded this person and what blinds me?" That is a much more difficult question, and perhaps a much more transformative one. The world does not need more people shouting louder, it needs more people seeing deeper. And every generation imagines that technology, wealth, or political system will save civilization. No, it won't. Because civilizations rarely collapse because they run out of resources. They collapse when they stop recognizing one another as human. And the real battle of a time is not between nations or ideologies. It is between consciousness and unconsciousness, between remembrance and forgetfulness, between gnosis and ignorance. The way out is not found in defeating another tribe. It begins each time we refuse to reduce another person to a label. Each time we choose curiosity over certainty, listening over shouting, compassion over contempt. Because the person standing before us is never merely a nationality, never merely a religion, never merely a political opinion. They are, like us, a bearer of the divine spark. The world changes when enough people remember this. That is why the Gnostics have always known. No secret knowledge, no hidden rituals, but the simple revolutionary act of seeing the divine where the world sees only the other. And perhaps that is the beginning of becoming fully human once again. We have to understand, think, and know what it means to be human. Not just us, every single one of us are human. They have the divine spark in them. We need to recognize that. That's the only way out. Thank you.